Before we get started, please subscribe to my channel below and click on the alert notification symbol. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new video. How do we double our money? You know, what are the components of that double, and what exactly does that mean? So obviously, you're here because you're a savvy real estate investor, so you know that there are components to the economic benefit that we can derive from real estate. There's income, there's the rental income we can generate, there's the capital appreciation that we can enjoy from rising values, and then there's also this thing of leverage, or using other people's money, that allows us to supercharge or multiply those gains. So the DEAL system, D-E-A-L, the D stands for discount. So from the very first thing, you know, with real estate, we make our money buying. So the very first thing we do is we want to be able to buy at below market prices. So how this can manifest itself, we can get that D in discount in different ways. For example, in a crisis market, we could find a motivated seller, or we could go to a fire sale auction and we could buy dramatically below market. So for example, in Ireland in 2011, when the Eurozone crisis was in full flow, when Ireland's economy was tanking, we could go to fire sale auctions and we could buy at price levels that were as much as 80% lower than previous highs and 30% lower than what would have been considered a market rate. But the sellers were so motivated, there were no other buyers, so we could get that deal in discount. There's other ways in stronger functioning markets where we can get that D in discount, and it's by identifying unused capacity or underutilized capacity in a piece of real estate. For example, maybe it's a beach home with a big garden, and maybe that garden could be subdivided and sold off as a lot.
And even in strong markets, even in markets where the market's functioning, it's going fantastically, you can have individual owners, sellers, who their own personal circumstances mean that they need to sell and get out fast.
There's always deals to be found, and you know. Then the other component is this thing of group buying. Like with our real estate trend alert deals, we come together as a group, and that means that we can get that group buying power. And you know, that's where the discounts with our RETA members only deals come from. And you know, for example, those who were here last year for the Grand Tulum deal and got in, Grand Tulum was the Simca deal that RETA members got a sneak peek at here last year. That project now is just getting ready to go to their friends and family group in the next couple of months. You know, it's not even public knowledge yet, and RETA members are already looking at gains of as much as $40,000 and $50,000 in terms of that D for discount component versus what the friends and family pricing are going to be. So.
And it's a win-win for the developer as well, because we had the classic where one developer who gave us a great RETA deal then hired a consultant because they were afraid that they'd left money on the table and they were worried we shouldn't have done this. And the consultant came in and said, not only should you have done it, but you should have probably done more of it and keep doing it because it works for the developer just as well as it does our end.
Yeah, because they can go straight out to the retail market then at a much higher price. So that's D for discount. As real estate investors, we want to make our money buying. So you know, we always want to be ahead from the get-go, whether that's by 10 or 20 or 30%. So you've got that built-in gain before anything happens from there. So then we move on to E for E for earnings, and that's the rental income that we can generate from that piece of real estate. So right across the RETA beat and right across other real estate deals that you'll see, the income potential can vary from negative, in the case of buying a piece of raw land that's got holding costs, right through to really, really strong rental yields in certain markets that in places on our beat can be as high as 16 to 18%, if you're targeting the right market with the right piece of inventory. So E is for earnings, and that's the cash flow that you're going to generate from that investment over the period in time. And usually my criteria are a double within 5 years. So for example, some deals could throw off a rental yield of, say, 11% a year, and then over the 5-year period in question, you've already recouped 55% of your investment, ignoring taxes and other costs for simplicity of the example. So, some of our deals, or some of the opportunities we get the chance to invest in can range from immediate cash flow generating right through to negative cash flow in the case of raw land we're going to sit on and it's got some holding costs, through to a hybrid, which could be a pre-construction deal where maybe we have 3 years of capital appreciation, and from years 2 or 3 we can then start generating rental income. So I think a lot of the types of deals that you're going to want to invest in will come down to your appetite for income versus capital appreciation. And a big part of this is going to be a function of where you're at in terms of your income requirement. Personally, at the stage that I'm at, I have a much bigger appetite for capital appreciation than income, because the way I'm organized, capital appreciation is much more likely taxed and it's much less administratively cumbersome. But at the same time, I'm looking to put in place a portfolio, which means that, that I'm fully financially independent, and that portfolio can just be turned on or tweaked in whatever way I want when the moment's right. So E for earnings, absolutely crucial. Some deals like deals I've invested in Brazil can show potential gross rental yields of as high as 16 to 18%. They're generally very, very hands-on, right through to the full spectrum of lower headaches. Then we've A for appreciation, and this is where the idea of tapping into a big macro trend comes. So we want to buy, we don't want to just buy somewhere that's at a discount, and we don't want to just buy somewhere that can be cash flow generating. We want to buy in a market where values are likely to appreciate. And for that, we need to look for a big idea, something big happening. Like in Tulum, the path of progress is rolling all the way down along the Riviera Maya from Cancun to Tulum. That's fueling demand. That's spiking prices. Like the idea of a new middle class, like the idea of a place like Medellin, where values were extremely low because of the conflict there, and more recently because of negative press. But now it's got that growing demand, just more and more people who are consuming like we do in the developed world, and that fuels into a really strong demand for real estate, places for people to live, places for people to sit and drink an iced coffee, all this stuff. So that's where tapping into the big macro ideas comes in. That's where identifying the new places that are on the up, the places that, you know, have been overlooked, are undervalued, are where, you know, where a big transformation is happening, you know. And you can see, you look at places, you know, Europe comes to mind because I've just spent the summer in Europe, and you look at places in Europe like, you know, like Slovenia, parts of Poland. These are the places where the prospects for medium-term appreciation are really, really strong. So that's why critical always, you know, that there's a big idea attached to any opportunity. And that, I feel, is where we really come into our own as a group, because our beat is global. You know, if we were a group who was just focused on the Playa del Carmen market or the Orlando market or the New York market, you know, that's all we'd have to play with. We'd just have to do our best to find the biggest discount and the biggest income potential in those markets. But our scope is global. You know, we can and do go wherever the opportunities are. And the way the world is, there's always opportunity. You know, I think back to even 2009 when, you know, we were in Brazil buying condos pre-construction that were doubling during construction, and this was the moment when the whole financial system was on the brink. So always buy into a big macro story, and that's where I think, particularly as a RETA member, if you look to your monthly issues, that's where we try and tease out these big macro ideas that then feed into deals. Then the final thing is leverage, and this, you know, this means that you're investing in part, or even in some very rare cases, all with other people's money. So, for example, let's take Grand Tulum, the opportunity that RETA members got a sneak peek at a year ago. Very soon, RETA members like myself, I bought there, and I also bought in the Tau Tulum opportunity, and I buy in many of the deals that I write about. So very soon we're going to be into that for 20%. So that will be, let's say, on a notional 200 grand condo, that will be $40,000. So we're into the deal for $40,000. Already, in some instances, values are up by $40,000 or $50,000. So on paper, we have doubled our money. Now, again, you know, that's a bit of a simplistic example in the sense that, you know, we haven't exited, and whenever you exit a real estate deal, there are going to be costs associated with it. But the idea is we're using other people's money to maximize our return on investment. You know, in places like Portugal, for example, the way to do this is with a mortgage. Not many places on our beat offer mortgage finance, but parts of Europe are one. And today in Portugal, you can borrow, even as a non-EU citizen, you can borrow up to 70 to 80% at under 2%. So this is really, really compelling that you can get money that cheap. And so if we're buying into either a crisis opportunity, a bank repossession in Portugal, or if we're buying in a part of Portugal that's on the up. And if we're only into the deal for 30% of the purchase price, and 2 years down the line, values have risen by 30%, we've doubled our money. So
it's a huge advantage of your REIT membership, the developer finance, because this isn't something anyone else rolling in off the street is going to get. It's something that they offer purely, in many cases, just for REIT members.
Yeah. So, in the case of, say, our Playa del Carmen opportunities with Simca, REIT members have been able to get developer finance. You walk off the street and there's no developer finance available, but we can borrow up to 50% from the developer, and as a REIT member, everyone is pre-approved. So in the case of the Siempre Playa opportunity that REIT members bought in just over 2 years ago, the REIT member price was from $193,000. Right now, there's 2 condos available for $268,000, and everything is priced significantly higher than that. So REIT members are just getting close to taking possession. They'll be into the deal for, let's say, $100,000, but they've already seen $100,000 in capital appreciation. So having that developer finance in markets like here is a huge benefit, because you get to enjoy that much higher return on your invested capital during the construction period. And those mortgage rates in parts of Europe right now are utterly irresistible. So those are the 4 components: D for discount, E for earnings, A for appreciation, L for leverage, and how you stick it together to make your double, can happen in any combination of those. You could get that double of your money all through income, all through appreciation, but generally it's through a combination of those. And I think the types of deals that I really like are the deals where it's this 2-step opportunity where we can buy low, buy at a deep discount, either pre-construction or where the property is somehow challenged or is in need of either an upgrade or improvements. So buy at that super deep discount, then either enjoy gains during construction or improve, and then strong rental income on completion.